We want to give a shout out to Steven with We Rock the Spectrum. We Rock the Spectrum is an inclusive sensory-based gym committed to providing a fun, safe, and welcoming environment for children of all ages and abilities. So if you're in town or in the Franklin area, please go check them out. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This episode, we have on musician Matt Wheatley. We talk about his life making music, growing up in Kentucky, and taking risk. We hope you enjoy.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. We have Matt Wheatley, or how I used to know him as Alex Wheatley.
I'm sure we'll get into that.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you what was with the name change, but thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Matt and I have known each other 30 years.
Long time.
Yeah, River Ridge times.
Yeah,
Back in the day. So it's been, that was our elementary school. And then after that, we kind of separated ways. I'd see you here and there, and then
right. The
now
occasional run in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're 38, almost going on into our 40s. We're getting old, man.
This episode's about your mortality.
I'm in the music business. I'm way old in the music business.
That's true.
Yeah. So you're relatively new. Two years as a Nashvilleian now. How you liking it?
We love it. Me and my wife and my son. The three of us moved here. We were in L.A. for 4 years.
Oh.
From Northern Kentucky, though, obviously. That's where me and Justin kind of grew up knowing each other. We've always, I don't think we always thought L.A. was going to be home when we moved there. We moved there for my work kind of stuff, which I still work for an L.A. company now. But I'm sure we'll get into that. But Nashville feels like home.
Awesome.
Like, this feels permanent for us. We love it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been the move's been nothing but good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you move from LA to here?
Well, that magical 2020 moment.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. We've had 2 or 3 people on now.
I believe it.
Yeah, Jimmy and Steven both moved around the pandemic from LA to Nashville.
Well, I was one of those two.
It was a mass exodus, I guess.
It's been called that. I know the vast majority of my friends who are out there are no longer there.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. And a lot of them, in fairness, weren't from there.
Okay.
So I think that makes it a little easier to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a ton of friends who came here, who went to Texas, who went to Colorado, who moved to Vegas. Like,
they go to Austin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that seems to be the thing. That would have
been my second pick.
That's
I've recorded a couple albums down there, and I love that city.
Yeah, it's a great city.
That would have been my second pick, but Nashville made the most sense from being closer to home, closer to family.
Yeah.
We're just a 4-hour drive away instead of a 3,000 miles or whatever the heck it is. The
2-day travel day.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
Gosh,
so it just made sense.
Where's your wife from?
My wife's from California.
Oh, okay. Did you meet her out in L.A.?
Not how I met her.
Oh, okay. It's
got a funny story for that, though.
Okay, well, tell us.
Yeah.
So my wife's from Sacramento, which is Northern California. So that was part of the convincing I used when I was trying to convince her to go to L.A. But I actually met her in Lexington. She's the first and only blind date I've ever been on in my life.
Awesome.
Nice.
She cheated and saw a picture of me before I ever showed up.
And she still showed up. That's good.
Well, that's good. That is good. She showed up. I was actually playing a show in Lexington. Oh, my gosh. I'm drawing a blank on the place now. I don't think it's still there. That's how long ago it was.
Where is it at? I was in Lexington for 5 years.
I know. That's why I can't think of it in my brain right now. I'm sure I'll think of it as soon as we're done here.
It'll be the end of the episode. You'll just go, and then you'll say it.
That was it. Yeah. It's
Call
2
back.
words. I can't think of it. Yeah. But anyways, I was playing a little acoustic show there with the band I was in at the time who just did the reunion show, The Getaway. The lead singer's wife told her, she's like, you got to meet this guy. He's a guitar player. He has like a mohawk, which I wish I could have a mohawk now these days. And she showed up, and she's as crazy as she was the day I met her. First thing we ever did together was go on a beer run.
There you
Okay.
in which I got in her car and I never let go of the handle.
Yeah.
And I still do to this day. That's never changed. And that's how we met and started dating. Kind of did the long distance thing. I was in Northern Kentucky still at the time, and she was in Lexington. So I'd drive back and forth a couple times a week, and eventually it became a thing. She moved up Northern Kentucky. I should mention she also was recently broken up with a jockey.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Was that the reason why she moved
That's
to Lexington?
why she was in Lexington.
Okay, I wasn't
sure. She was
sure.
dating a guy for a long time who raced horses.
Okay.
Now, I know it's a little misleading when I say jockey. He wasn't like
Yeah.
4'9".
I thought disc jockey like a radio person.
Oh, no.
no. It's
You're not from
Lexington.
Kentucky.
like raced
It's
horses.
Lexington. Yeah, no.
Raced
It's
like
very
the chariot
equestrian.
things. Yeah, exactly. So that's what she was doing there and just happened to stay there when they broke up kind of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. And I can't remember, why did you move down to Lexington? Did you go to UK?
I didn't move to Lexington, but I was
Oh,
there for a while.
oh,
I
you
did go to
were-
UK
okay.
for a
Oh, I'm
little
so
while.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm
No,
from Indiana.
yeah.
I love Lexington.
That's our little feud that we
It is.
have.
It's just that. It's
Why
just-
is that?
Well, because I'm
It's
from
IU.
Indiana. I'm an IU fan.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I was like, when we walked in, I was like, this has to be our first question. Is he like you? Because I should just leave now.
Yep. Let's gang up
You're
on him
outnumbered
now.
here. That's true. You were
Okay,
outnumbered.
have fun, Justin.
See
I
ya.
still bleed blue. I got to say.
That's
Good.
fair.
Yeah.
But you actually, I feel like going to and living in Lexington, why would you not be a Kentucky fan? It makes
what
a
I'm
ton of
saying.
sense. Yeah.
I grew up being a UK fan, loved
Yeah.
them
Yep.
my whole life. Went there. I didn't graduate from there, but I went there for a year.
Yeah.
Moved away for a girl. Stupid stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So was it freshman year of college you were down in UK?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I was like, I think he was down in UK because I remember running into you just
God, if we did, I'm
every
sure I
so
don't
often.
remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So how'd you only last 1 year?
What's the craziest part is I actually had like a 3.7, and I have no idea how I managed that. No idea.
Yeah.
My roommate would get up, who is a doctor, by the way, would get up, drink, like there'd be a handle in the middle of our dorm, and he would just get up, take a giant swig of it, and go to like psychology class. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
how are we doing this?
Yeah, right? That's awesome.
All right. So I know this doesn't pertain to you,
That's
but
fine.
what dorm were you at UK?
Kerwin Tower
Kerwin Tower? Okay, I was at
and the
Hagen.
towers.
I was at the old
Hagen was just all guys, right?
all guys.
We
Yeah.
had we loved having the boy girl or boy floor,
Yeah.
girl floor, boy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
parties were kind
did-
of ridiculous.
It was just a whole bunch of dudes and a lot of sausage.
That's what we
all it was.
called it. To be honest with you, we called it Sausage Hall.
I had no idea.
That's awesome.
We called it Sausage Hall. We're like, we ain't going there. There's too many dudes.
How many undergrad does Kentucky have?
Oh, I have
I
no
imagine
idea.
it's a good sized school.
It's huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea number one.
Undergrad, was it? I want to say 15,000 when I graduated.
Yeah.
But that sounds low. I don't
I'm
know.
terrible with numbers, so
Yeah,
I would never
me
know.
too.
I feel like when I went to Belmont, like overall, including grad, it was like 5,000 students. So if someone was like, I know someone went to Belmont, I'd be like, tell me, I might actually know who they are.
Yeah.
Ah,
No, there
nice.
was no way.
Whereas like friends who went to IU, it was like, do you know? No, why are you asking, Devin? There's like 5,000 freshmen this year. You can't,
Yeah.
like, they're not going to know who they are.
I knew two groups of people, basically the people that were in my dorm on my floor because I was an RA
Oh, you were an RA? Cool.
at Hagen for 3
At
years
Sausage.
after the fourth year. So at Sausage Hall for 4 years. And then at the LA studio, the landscape architecture studio, because it was either I'm at the dorm or I'm at
Yeah.
that studio. So it was those two groups of people, and that was about it. If you said, hey, do you know this person? I'm like, nope.
Nope.
We had the best RA in the world who bought us beer. He was the best. Such a cool dude.
What was his name? I know.
Such a cool dude.
I-
It was
oh.
Rick something. I can't remember his last
Rick
name.
something.
He was a skydiving instructor. Like, he did all this crazy
Okay.
Why
stuff,
did they let him
dude.
be an RA? Like,
There was no reason because he drank more than us.
Yes.
Always showed up like when we didn't even ask him for beers. Like, y'all need beers. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
cool,
hilarious.
dude. We had a fire drill one time when we were having a party in our dorm, and it was on our floor. And when that happens, they check every room.
Yep.
And we were already on our. There's a 3-strike rule. We were already on strike
Oh,
2.
no.
Oh, no.
So we were getting ready to get booted, and our RA runs back up the stairs. We're on like floor 9. He goes up the stairs because they wouldn't let nobody use the elevator because it's a fire drill.
Yeah.
yeah.
and covers all of our beer cans and everything for us so we don't get booted out.
Wow,
gosh.
what
Like,
an RA.
what a man,
Yeah.
dude. Like, we would have never ratted on him. But
Yeah.
I assume some of that was to try and cover his own
Oh,
a
yeah.
little
totally,
bit.
yeah.
But at the same time, he was actually just genuinely cool enough. Like, he was like, I don't want y'all to get,
Yeah, you're
Yep.
gonna be
screwed.
kicked out. and
Yeah,
it's
we're
not
going to
that big
be
of a
out.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, my RA's
He was cool,
name
man.
was Superman.
What?
That's what his first, like, or at least that's what
Real
we called
name?
him. I have no idea.
Oh,
He
yeah,
never told us
super
his first real
Middle
name,
man.
but he said Superman, and he was probably high. I'd say 95% of the time.
First of all, anybody who can go by one name is way cooler than me.
Yeah.
I know that immediately.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But man, I had a great time there. It was a lot of fun. UK was a great place, but going back after like 5 years of not being there changed so much.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a place I don't even recognize anymore because Hagenhall's not there.
Oh, really?
Donovan, the all girls,
Really?
is not there.
I haven't been there in forever. I've gone to a couple games, like football games down there, but
Yeah.
I didn't really go too much through campus.
Oh man, it's changed so much. I'm sure
Yeah,
Belmont's
Belmont's
changed
not the
as
same
well.
college I went to.
Yeah.
If I was doing college tours now, I wouldn't go to Belmont based on how it looks.
I wish I'd have known about Belmont
Okay.
when I was looking for colleges and stuff like
Yeah.
that, because that was one of the biggest reasons I actually ended up leaving UK, is because I knew I wanted to do something in music.
Yeah.
And there was just nothing there. Like, if you weren't in the band, there was I didn't feel like there was anything there you could specialize in.
Yeah.
But also, why would they have anything to cater to like,
Right.
music production?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Lexington definitely was not. It was basketball,
Yeah. And
football, and horses.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember
Basically.
someone, because like I know Indiana had like music and business, so someone's like, "Oh, just do that there," and I'm like, "No, it's actually you join the words together to music business,
Right.
And you take like recording classes.
Right.
I took a radio broadcasting class in high school, like my senior year. And I was like, oh, this is really fun recording people and like doing spots and figuring this out. And my teacher was like, oh, there's this school down in Nashville called Belmont. And I was like, I'll check this out. And that's kind of how I ended up down here. So,
Very cool. So you went to school down here and then you stayed.
yeah, I just didn't leave. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, who would go back to Evansville? Indiana,
Exactly.
after
That's
that?
the
Did you
question.
make some family mad when you stayed?
No, I did not actually. No.
Okay.
My parents are very much the type of people who are like, nope, we figured you'd want to leave. And you did. So, there you go.
Very cool.
So,
Do you still have most of your family back up
I have a
in UKY?
huge family, and the vast majority of them are in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
my dad has 5 brothers and 6 sisters.
Oh,
so
wow.
extrapolate that by how
Wow.
many cousins I have,
Yeah.
who were all my best friends growing up, who
Yeah.
I just scheduled a Vegas trip with. Like,
Heck yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
after like 4 years after I moved down here, my sister moved to Maryville, Tennessee, which is outside of Knoxville, and then my parents moved as well. So,
oh, they're down here too now?
oh yeah, I don't
Awesome.
ever really go up to Northern Kentucky at all anymore.
Good for you.
It's
It's a trap, man.
It is. I will tell you, there are not very many people that grew up in Northern Kentucky that have left Northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
But that's what most people do there. And that's why it became like, and I don't know if you've had this experience too, is a weird thing for us to do what we did
Yeah.
from where we're from.
Yeah.
Like, you grow up, you know, people got businesses, you work in the family business.
Mm-hmm.
You grow up and you just get, you work at the electric company where I did for, I worked for Duke for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And you get that good job, you take care, you have kids, they grow up, you retire, that's your life.
Yep. That was basically my parents' life.
Yeah.
Right, and mine too.
Yeah.
And all my uncles and all my aunt, like all of them kind of
Yeah.
have done that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an outlier to be like, hey, I want to move to LA and do music. And they're like, oh,
yeah.
okay. It was like the nod and smile, like,
Mm.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I only know you and my friend Eric Stringer. I think you two are the only ones that I knew that ever moved out to LA.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it was,
It's not an easy
Nashville.
choice. I'll say that.
yeah, Nashville, Louisville, or Lexington.
Mhm.
That seemed to be where a lot of the Northern Kentucky people ended up moving to. But
My big thing was, for the reason to move into LA, I was already actually working with a couple people out there.
mhm.
I thought I already had a job lined up, like as an audio engineer. I thought I had that kind of lined up, which ended up falling through right when I get there.
Oh man,
Oh man, yeah, you tell me about it.
that's a
Yeah.
long travel just to not get the job that you were looking forward to.
It was never what I wanted to do. It was
Yeah.
really just to hold me over for getting in my feet wet
Oh,
and
okay.
getting into what I want to do, which was working in studios, working with artists,
Yeah.
doing all that kind of stuff. So it really, in a weird way, kind of jump started me. I was like, I got to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So I immediately was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got no job. My rent's $2,500
Yeah, right.
for a shoebox.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay, game on. So I just
You found out if you cared or not.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Like there was jumping with not just 2 feet, you're jumping in full body.
Yeah, you're full
Wow.
submersion.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it was like, this is now or never.
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in it and then you have that realization, like I will forever remember the moment. Like it's so clear in my head. When I had gotten actually the job I even have right now, my first day driving the 405 and I'm coming down the valley and I was like, oh my God, we're going 2 miles an hour. I got to be
Yeah.
at work in 20 minutes. I'm an hour away is what my thing says.
Oh,
How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a million miles from, I will forever remember that moment was like, can I do this?
Yeah.
And then you just do.
yeah.
I can't explain it. You just get up every day and you just do it.
Yeah.
You know, set your mind kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I had already kind of had that mindset, but there's always the little,
Thinking you're going
gut
to do
punch.
something. I didn't go into production and recording because I paid for Belmont. In my senior year, like there's a class called the recording engineer, and it was a guy who'd been an engineer for 30 years.
Mhm.
And he was like, all right, so what's your budget look like? How do you make money? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. What do your student loans be? I don't know, like $1,000 a month. Cool. So you're going to need to make a lot of money in order to pay that off and eat. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Cool. So let's figure out how to do that. Oh, I don't know if I want to do that.
right.
Oh.
Well, that changes things.
Especially with music business stuff where it's like, what do you do? Well, you put your foot in the door and maybe 6 months later, someone starts paying you for it.
Right.
So,
Right.
yep, you just kind of sit there and you're like, oh, maybe this isn't what I want to do after all. So who knows? Or you sit down and you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. And you get laser focused and it kind of helps you figure it out.
Pretty much. I think it takes a little bit of luck, but I think you make a little bit of that too.
Right place, right
by
time.
doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you prepared for being in that thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
So what did you do for that company when you did have to put in that grind?
So when I jumped in, the first thing that I had promised myself was I'm not going to go get the job that I just had in Northern Kentucky. I'm not going to go work for the electric company.
Yeah.
I didn't come out here to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go, and I could have done that really easily.
Yeah.
Like that's a job that to this day I could probably go get right now.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm here for music. I'm going to go do that. So
So
the
do
first
music
thing I
stuff.
did, I was like, I'm going to take internships because I had a little nest egg of money that I had saved up for the trip and stuff like that. Enough for about a 6 month. Like if I
Wow,
didn't make a
okay.
dime for 6 months, I'll be all right, but I'm going to be hurting at the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took internships at a great studio called NRG, which is like did a bunch of like Sublime, like a bunch of big rock bands,
cool.
Incubus, like all these bands I loved growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Doubt's biggest records, like stuff like that. Took an internship doing that. Took an internship for a music library where I'm watching Real Housewives of Dallas and like doing cut downs of like
Yeah.
finding our little library stuff in there and doing timesheets and stuff like that. So I took internships as much as I could, which ended up working out because now my current job is I work for a music library, which is the one I
cool.
found in the 6th month of when I needed to start
Seriously?
making money.
Man.
Oh my gosh.
I had about 2 weeks left of like having to call dad or somebody to help me.
Yeah.
And I got that job, which I still have today. I didn't start out doing what I do for the company, which I started out as kind of like an admin, like really doing a lot of the data for our sites and stuff like that. But I've since converted into being a full-time composer.
That is cool.
That's cool.
So as a composer, what do you do?
So you know those movie trailers that like hype you up for the movie and stuff like
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
You see the
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that stuff.
Oh, that is awesome.
Nice.
So like if you've heard like Top Gun trailer, the new
Yeah.
one, I was part of that.
What?
cool.
If you've done, let's see,
do you do Foley or do you just do music?
I do sound design too.
Cool, sweet.
Yeah, so there's
Do you
a
know
lot
what
of
Foley is?
sound
I have
design
no
stuff.
idea.
Foley is sound effects, basically.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, yeah. So I make like custom sounds like that.
That's cool.
That's kind of my day to day, my day gig, if you will.
What's your favorite one that you've composed?
Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite. I might have a favorite placement.
Okay.
Like Call of Duty was fun to do.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I took a ASAP Ferg track that I remixed that they ended up liking a lot. The company who picked it up, and that was pretty cool. Having something in Call of Duty,
Yeah.
like Warzone, so that was fun.
Do you play Call of Duty?
No, I
No?
stay away from it because I feel like it's a black hole
Oh.
that you just never never return from. So
I feel about that in video games in general, for the most part.
I do like single player ones where it's like, okay, you do the mission, you do some side missions, you don't play it online. That's what you do. Because once I get into online play, it's like, what do you do? I don't know, it's 2 a.m. Why? I don't know. What am I doing here?
You can get sucked into that for
You
like
can.
5 hours, easy, and feel like nothing, just flew by.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But never done that. I used to like Vice City and all
Yeah.
that stuff
Yep.
back, in my
That-
younger days.
yep.
And when you have kids, it's like, okay, it's 11 p.m. What does that mean? You need to stop playing video games within the next 20 minutes or so because
Yes.
your kids are going to wake up at 6 no matter what.
Yep.
And they're going to need stuff. And you can't say, I'm not awake yet because they don't know what that means and they don't care.
That doesn't work.
So you just have to be a responsible adult and know if you don't go to bed by this time, you're going to be useless to your entire family the next day.
I would say in general, but I am also a night owl.
Yeah,
so
me too. Yeah.
I hate mornings. To be honest with you, I will never be a morning person. I never have been, never will be. Luckily, my wife is the exact opposite.
Yes.
So she does most of our morning stuff unless there's something I absolutely need, you need me for kind of thing, which is nice that we are able to, that's what we do. So I always put my son to bed. She always gets up with him.
Cool.
That's kind of our thing. And it works out. She likes to be early to bed. That's when I start what I call my nightcap of work.
Yes.
So outside of like being a composer, I also produce artists and do my own thing or whatever I'm working on that day or that week or whatnot.
I normally actually edit our podcast. My wife will normally fall asleep on the couch sometime between 9 and 10, and then I'll start editing the podcast after
That's
that.
exactly.
So, which is fun. It's really actually fun to be like, oh, cool. Okay, that episode was about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay, it's about 10. All right, I can probably listen through that and make some edits before 11:30 and go to bed. All right,
Squeeze
here we
them
go.
in. Yep, exactly.
Yep. I'm right there with you. But tell me about your kid.
So I got one son. He's 7 years old. His name's Huxley.
Huxley, okay.
And he has that name because I didn't want him to have my name, which is Matt, which is just so bland, or my middle name, which Justin has known me for a long time, which is Alex.
Okay.
It's actually Alexander, but
Yeah.
most of my family just know me as Alex.
Okay.
I wanted him to have a name where when somebody yells your name, you know it's you.
It's you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you. Nobody's
There's-
calling anybody else.
Nope.
Yeah.
Do
So,
you have any nicknames for him? Or you always go Huxley?
No, yeah, Bubba.
Bubba?
I probably call him Bubba a lot.
That's cute.
It's my hillbilly.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
hillbilly
Your
in me,
Northern
yeah.
Kentucky is
Yeah.
showing.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
Come here.
Come here, Bubba.
Yeah. I wanted something strong, something manly.
fair.
Yeah.
And how old is your son?
He's 7.
7.
Yeah. And
Man.
wild as can be,
It's
which I wouldn't have it any other way, but the way it's exhausting.
yeah.
How about you? You got a daughter, right?
Yes,
Who she look more like? You or your wife?
I would say my wife.
I feel like she looks more like your wife.
Yeah. She doesn't. She has my eyes, but
Yeah.
that's about it. Because
My son is a spitting image of my wife.
Really?
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. You're like, I'm involved in your DNA in some way, right?
Absolutely loves it, but when they go like to grocery or something like that, there ain't no mistaking whose mom that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, was it this guy or, I could have been any white guy. And I'm just like, he might have my nose. That's about
That's
Well,
what
I'll tell you what, he's got the Wheatley trait, which is calves.
Calves?
We all can't fit in normal pants. That's a true story. I got guys when I go to the gym like, dude, you work out like all the time. I'm like, I never do leg lifts, dude.
This is just how
this
it
is like I've looked like this since I was 3. I just extrapolate that when I got taller.
That's awesome.
well, in basketball, this guy was freaky fast.
Oh, really?
Back in the day.
Freaky fast. I mean, he was our point guard,
Yeah.
and like nobody could really guard him. It
I
was
tried to
insane.
tell my son about this, and he thinks it's a myth. I was like, before I did music,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I was an athlete.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't believe it. I'm like, all right, you get old enough, we'll play some ball.
Yeah.
So he's finally actually getting into basketball now. He wants to be in the NBA. I'm like, now you're going to school.
Yeah.
Wait till Dad gets in a little better shape, which I'm working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was all of our dreams when we were kids, is to play for UK
Absolutely.
and be in the NBA.
I think that was half the reason I went to UK for the year. I was going to try and walk on at one point.
I wanted to as well, but there was no way in hell.
Was it?
I think it was when Tubby was there.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it Billy Gillespie? Was he not looking for you?
No, it was Tubby, and I actually used to go to UK's basketball camps.
Oh, really?
I actually got to know Tubby a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think it was his son. I was schooling his son at the camps, and that's when he started talking to me a little bit. He had a younger one.
Oh.
Who was closer to our age.
Oh, okay.
But I schooled Saul one day too, which was funny because I don't think Saul was like trying his hardest. But
yeah.
That's how I actually started talking to Tubby a little bit. And he's like, "You need to come down here. I can't really offer you a scholarship because for obvious reasons, I'm probably not that great.
But you're fun.
But I played hard.
Yeah,
I played hard as can be.
Yep.
So that was a dream of mine at one point until I really got into music, for sure.
When did you get into music?
So I started playing when I was 16.
Okay.
So I would call it late, really, getting into music, because my friends like Corey Moore and Corey Powell had already started playing, and they were playing like shows. And one day I went to Corey's, and they were practicing in the basement, and I went in, had no idea what I was walking into, and they're just jamming. They're playing like Deftones or Incubus or something, and I'm sure it was terrible. But in my eyes, I was like, goo goo. I was like, how do you all do this together? Like, it's crazy. And like less than 2 weeks later, I'm begging my parents for my first, piece of crap guitar.
Yeah.
Trying to take lessons. Took one lesson. The dude like made me strum a guitar, like a G chord for half an hour. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. I'll learn this on my own.
Yeah.
Sat in my room for about 6 months. Got enough learned to where I could get into the band. Mm-hmm. They kicked out the guitar player and got me in just because I think out of pure enthusiasm, not because I was good.
Yeah.
And I played with them we just had that reunion show. We've been playing together for over 20 years.
That's insane.
Which is wild, right? Whoever would have thought that? I don't know many bands who are together that long.
I feel like I'm still only 20-something years old.
I was going to ask you guys that, like being dads, because I even just wrote this in a song that I'm putting out later this year. Like, I still feel like I'm just a kid with a kid, and we're just getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My body, I know, is older.
Yeah. My
brain does not feel that way. My brain, I'm smarter, I think. I'd like to think I'm smarter.
Yeah.
And have learned some stuff. But my brain still says you're 22 until I drink too much one night, and my brain says you're 75.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for this for 3 days.
Yeah, that's pretty much how my body is. Whenever we play basketball with the guys from our neighborhood, or when I'm trying to chop down a tree.
Yeah, you're a man's man.
My body is like, you're getting old for this.
I think as you get older, the stuff you used to be able to be stubborn about and not have any consequences for, you now have consequences for.
Oh, yeah.
So it is like, man, I threw my back out for the first time ever whenever I first turned 35 because I just refused to squat to pick up a kid. For like an entire day, I kept bending over and like hinging at the waist. And I was like, oh, my back really hurts. Woke up the next morning. No, it really hurts. It's like, you didn't squat. You like your center of gravity and weight was nowhere where it should need to be. You know how this works. You fully extended your arm and picked up a 25-pound weight. What did you think would happen? You did it multiple times a day. Like, mentally, I still feel hopefully fresh. A little bit more. I didn't have anxiety whenever I was a kid, but more like, okay, cool. If you step up on this table, then you're going to fall and break your leg. Here's all the other, like, I didn't have that whenever I was a kid.
Right.
But like hopefully trying to play games, be a jokester, all of that stuff, trying to be fun, I guess, what I define as fun, is still there. But it's more like your body's like, hey man, you know, this doesn't work.
Yep.
What are you doing here?
I think that was probably my first experiences when I knew I was getting older. I had gotten in a basketball league with a couple of my cousins. This is probably 10 years ago. So I'm still in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I hadn't like been working out or doing any of this other thing. And we played a game and I was fine. Like was up and down the court, no problem. The next day I thought I was dying. I was like, what? I feel like I got hit by a train.
And it didn't last just a day like it normally did.
It took a week to recover from
that.
It's
days to a week and you're like, what the heck? I just played a game of basketball.
Right.
And it wasn't goofing off.
Right. was like, I used to do this all day for, I mean, weeks in a row. I was on 3 basketball teams at a time growing up, like craziness.
Whenever I just start paying attention to like shoes that I wear. So like I alternate, whenever I buy shoes, I normally buy 2 pairs and I alternate between them. And that lasts me like 4 to 5 months of not needing new shoes. So it might be, I spend like $200 on shoes in one day, but then for the next like 4 to 5 months, I'm good.
Right.
So I'm like, Brooks, I'm in love with you. You're my favorite type of shoe ever. But like whenever I started having kids, that's whenever I started to realize like, dude, what shoes you wear hurts your lower back or doesn't. Now you have to care. Now you have to financially invest in it. And here we go.
Brooks just sounds like an old man shoe.
Hey, no, they're from like the Pacific Northwest. They're totally cool. They should sponsor our show.
You're not in like the white Skechers yet, though,
No,
right?
I'm not.
No.
It's,
Extra cushion.
I don't own any New Balances, and I don't own any Skechers. So I'm not there yet. I'm much needier than that.
The white New Balance with the
Rolled up
the
socks. The
navy,
socks all the way up to
the
the
navy
shit.
in.
There
That's,
you go.
That is the key dad.
Coup de dad.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, what
gras,
you guys
coup de
mow
dad.
the lawn in? I thought that's what everyone mowed the lawn.
Oh, I got grass shoes. Come on now.
I got boots,
They're
man.
old Nikes with holes in
Oh
them.
my gosh, yes.
I gotta wear boots. I can't do the tennis shoes. I
But-
don't know why.
I don't know.
Are you the uncle from Vegas Vacation? He always wore them boots.
That's right.
It might be.
That's what you look like, just pushing the mower around.
It's beautiful, Clark.
Clark,
Beautiful,
thank you,
Clark.
thank you. Oh man, that's funny.
What do you hope your son does music stuff? Do you
I'm dying for him to do music stuff.
are you really?
But I'm trying to find the balance of I don't want to force it on him.
Yeah.
Like, because he sees me do it every day and he understands it and he likes it, which he got to come to my show, which, not many of my shows are all ages.
Yeah.
He got to come to the show last weekend that we did. And it's hilarious to watch him. Like, I can't see a whole lot from stage, but he stood close enough to where I could see him. And he stands like a statue and did not move the whole time.
And he's 7.
And he's
How did
7.
A 7-year-old stood
And
still?
I can't get him to stand still at home for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But when he was watching me play, and this is the second time he's done it, we literally call him a statue. Like, so many people came up to him trying to get him to dance, trying to get him to move. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm just watching.
He's
Focus.
soaking it
I'm just
in,
watching.
man. He's soaking it in. Like, his dad is up there. I bet he's...
And I try to ask him, like, are you having fun? Like, it was this, and it's always like, yeah, this was great. I've had so much fun.
I had the
I got
best
to
time
bring
of
him
my
on
life.
stage. Yeah, right, of my life. Yeah, all 7 years of it.
Yeah.
So I know he loves music, which is great. He knows way more lyrics to songs than I probably ever will.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like that a lot growing up too, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. But I've also tried to teach him guitar.
Yeah.
And he won't ever do it on his own, which is where I'm trying to get him to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows a little bit, but like not enough to love it to like want to do it without me bringing it up. Like, hey, let's play guitar. So I'm on the path to maybe drums.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, does he like another instrument?
That's the thought being behind it, as well as Dad loves drums too, and he doesn't have a set anymore. So
Okay.
Do you?
We'll see.
We have a piano, like an electric piano, and I find that our kids are more likely to come up to that and just press some keys, or like an electric keyboard has like the demos on it, where it plays like the pre-made songs.
Yep.
They're more a fan of figuring out what those buttons do than anything. But every once in a while, I'll
100%.
hear them. I'll hear them like just mess around with some keys, and I'm like,
tinkering.
I feel like if you can. Familiarity and comfort, I feel like, is the best thing you can try to teach your kid with a musical instrument. So if they're just messing around and getting used to what it sounds like and what it feels like, I'm like, cool, that's good. That's a good step 1.
Right. Well, and guitar is hard to learn, especially at first, and your fingers start hurting.
Yeah.
And, well, me, I have no feelings left in my fingertips at this point.
Yeah.
But I think that's been part of it. Just guitar is not an easy thing to learn, but God, I wish I'd learned when I was his age, because man,
Soak
just
it in more.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'd be so much better.
Yeah.
I know I would be.
'Cause
But he is
15,
curious about
16.
piano.
Yeah.
I have like a couple keyboards around and stuff like that, and he's been curious about that. And I taught him some notes and stuff like that,
Cool.
but it's the same kind of thing. He never comes in as like, hey, let's
gonna
play
mess with this,
piano. Yeah, hey, let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important, I feel like, as an adult to remember why you love the stuff that you love and kind of how you felt whenever you were a child doing it.
For sure.
Because I think that's part of what you're hoping for with your kid is like, oh man, whenever I first hit, like, I still remember having an electric guitar that was, like your first electric guitar is a piece of crap because your parents are like, I don't know if you're going to take this seriously.
Right. Why would they?
And I remember playing Adam's Song by Blink-182 for the first time ever
That
and being
was
like,
one of the first ones I
I can play this. I can figure out how to do this, and just
Yep.
being like mystified by how many doors are open to you.
Right.
So you kind of like, it's good to be in tune with that energy, because whenever you're telling your kid like, oh man, like play this, because you're like, no, this opened so much for me. This
Right.
became a language that I'm still speaking in, and I hope the same for you.
Exactly. Like I said, I know he loves music to death. He sings all the time.
That's sweet.
We can't get him to stop.
Unless he's at one of your shows.
and that's all it takes is, I have to be playing on stage.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny in that way.
Zero musical abilities.
It's-
Haley has that. Haley was in the band, but for me, I could not read it. I could not sing. I could not play any type of instrument.
Did you ever try?
Yes. Do you know Matt Groney?
I do.
Okay, he was my my roommate my freshman year of college. So he taught me, or tried to teach me, the guitar, and I failed miserably. I mean,
You're starting from behind if you're starting in college.
oh
I'll tell
yeah,
you that.
I was 18 or 19 years old, and I don't think he had the patience for me either.
Yeah.
I could just see his frustration growing and
That's
growing.
funny.
But yeah, I also played it, like, I guess upside down, because I played it.
Oh, you're lefty.
Are you
I'm a
That's right.
lefty.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's
you're
right.
a lefty too, right?
No.
Or no? Who?
I got kind of forced into it because I had so many broken arms when I was a kid.
Yeah,
So
what?
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, we can
Dude,
get into that if you want.
Like in 6th grade during our basketball team, I remember like you had broke your arm, and then you had it kind of.
Mhm. Oh, it's still messed up. I know
Yeah,
your audience won't be able to see
there
this,
you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's
Yes, I
it'll never
remember
be right. Yeah.
Dude, that and your quickness, I remember.
He had a messed up elbow and was really
Yeah.
fast.
You actually weren't quick. Everyone was terrified of how your arm looked.
Oh, I
They
guarantee.
just jumped up.
Hey, it was great. It was great at parties.
What if it's contagious? I'm just going to walk away. He can get to the hole. I don't care.
Look like a mutant? I know.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Those were the days.
I
but-
have back when I played like T-ball and stuff like that, there was like 6 consecutive years of like, you get the T-ball picture of the whole team. I've
Yeah.
got a different cast and
you
like
serious?
6 straight pictures where I'd like basically missed the season.
Yeah.
I'm still on the team.
Your friends are
in a
like, I'm not
cast.
going to sign your cast. I already signed the last 3.
Right.
Like, I don't know what else you want
We
from
just
me, man.
did this. Right. Yeah, we just did this.
Who's did you played baseball as well, right?
I did, but because my eyes, once the ball got too fast,
Oh, gotcha.
I had to
Yep. Yeah, so I
I had
remember
to get out.
I remember also you had that magnifying glass whenever you had to read. I
That was
remember
actually kind of forced on me.
Oh, was it?
They wanted to, we can get into this too.
Yeah, let's go for it.
If you don't, maybe we've never had this conversation before, but I was actually born legally blind.
Oh.
I did not know that. I
I'm
knew
no
that
longer
you.
legally blind.
That's
But I
awesome.
was born legally blind. There's the next question is usually how did you get better? There's no answer for it.
Okay.
I just did.
Wow.
I just grew into having a little better eyesight. I still don't have good eyesight,
Yeah.
but like even the things I still have to do to this day, even to drive, like this whole, I go through a bioptic program to go drive. Like I was the first bioptic driver in Kentucky, state of Kentucky ever, 20 something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Institute for the Blind to learn how to drive. You know how
Oh,
weird
really?
that is?
Wow. Yeah.
Like that was a huge humbling experience for me too. I was 17. First of all, you could get your permit at 16 in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I was mad. I was waiting a year.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot 17-year-old.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
dude, why the
Yeah.
heck? I'd gone through my whole life. I've always figured out a way to get around my eyes.
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it a disability, but I'd never looked at it that way.
Mhm.
Just because I always knew how to manage it.
Yeah.
So when I went to this school, and it was in Louisville, I believe, there was literally people who were learning how to function their daily lives, like with a cane and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then I'm learning to drive. I'm learning to get freedom, and that really like hit me hard. It's a huge lesson for me even to this day. Like, man, be thankful. Yeah, you don't have great eyesight. Be hugely thankful for what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back to what you were talking about, I used to have this magnifying glass. So I went to a gazillion doctors when I was a kid because my mom just was like, we've got to help fix you somehow. We got to get some sort of help. And God bless her. I went to a zillion doctors who all basically told her the same thing. Like, this isn't going to get better.
Yeah.
This is his existence. find ways to deal with it. Like, they wanted me to start learning Braille in 7th grade.
Oh my gosh.
They told me I'm eventually going to go blind. That might still be true. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to a 7th grader, I was like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? You know what I mean? So I was just hugely defiant. I hated using that magnifying glass for the same reason I quit baseball. They started making me use an orange ball, and I was like, time out. Like, to a kid that young,
you're not going to
who
play that
wants to
sport
feel
anymore.
different?
Don't want that attention.
And then when you go and strike out after that, you're like, jeez,
yeah.
Pete's, dude. You know, like, who wants that attention when you're...
Do you want to play another season, Matt? No.
That was my last season.
Yep.
And it was a purely, like, they were trying to help me.
No, yeah. All
The
those
thought
very,
behind it
very
was
well
very
intentioned.
sweet.
Yes.
But to a kid who doesn't want to be different,
Yeah.
Of
to
course.
be glaringly different,
Yep.
that is not what you want.
No.
So that's why I got out of that. But that's why I would love the basketball. Big orange ball.
Yeah.
No mistake in that for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So
going to
that's why
say,
I took to that.
it was, I mean, I kind of almost looked at you as like a superhero because you had that magnifying glass for having to read or just being forced upon that. But then in basketball, man, it was like nothing that, like,
That's probably why I loved it so much.
yeah.
Because I didn't have to have that help. I didn't need any of that. I didn't have anybody telling me, you probably are going to need help doing this. You can't do this or this and that. Now, it's also been a huge driving force for me in my whole life
Yeah.
because I've been told so many things I can't do.
Yeah.
And I've given the middle finger to that for, I don't know, for a long, long time.
Yeah. Do you feel
So-
like you are persistent, or are you just hoping to prove people wrong?
I am tirelessly persistent.
Cool. I mean, even you saying how you started music business stuff is like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to figure this out. Why? Because that's who I am.
Correct. I didn't go out to LA with a plan B.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten married and had a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And I just bought a house, like in Kentucky, like all kinds of crazy stuff. I was crazy for doing what I did.
Sure,
Looking
yeah.
back on it, like I was
What
nuts.
was I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also because I know what I'm capable of, and the hardest part that I've noticed about getting older, and I don't know if this is your all's experience, but the hardest part doing anything for me at this point is starting.
Oh, yeah.
I have no problem after that.
Yeah.
Starting anything is the hardest part. Once you get past that and you know you're in it and you know you have to complete it and you know you have to do this, like I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
That was kind of how it was for us in this podcast. There was months of us talking about it. And then finally I was like, the only way that we're going to do this is if I go
Just
ahead
do it.
and get the website
Yeah.
and get the Facebook and Instagram.
And then you're kind of like, well, now we have to.
Yeah. And then I
And launch.
I
right?
literally texted him and said, hey, are you still interested? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, good, because I just bought the website.
Because we're doing it.
Yeah.
By the way,
Or
you owe me
$50.
$100.
You either want to do this podcast or give me $50.
But
I don't have $50.
it had to start with that, or it was just going to be us just constantly talking about how we should do this. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I feel like once you start having kids, your bandwidth and who
Totally
like
true.
even us being here today, our wives are taking care of our kids while we're here.
Same. Yeah.
So whenever you start something, if I start something, it's because I'm going to do it. So I
Right.
spend a lot of time overanalyzing what I'm about to start because once I've committed to it, I need to freaking do it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
what does that mean? It means right now my wife is watching 3 kids. Your wife is watching a kid. Your wife is watching a kid.
Yep.
You should always be aware of the ripple effects of your actions. And
Yeah.
the more, whenever you have a kid, and the older they get, your kid being 7, my kid being 7, they notice.
Oh, yeah.
They notice when I'm not there. And if I don't have not a good reason, if I don't have something that I'm confident in telling them of why I'm not physically around, what am I doing?
Right.
And why am I doing it?
And you want me to be honest, that was one of the biggest deciding factors for me going to Los Angeles. Many reasons amongst it, but the biggest thing was like, I got a young kid, and how can I tell him when he grows up that you can be anything you want to be
Yeah.
if you chase it, if I never chased it?
Of course.
Yeah.
How can I be authentic in telling him that?
Yeah.
And that just not haunted me, but it stuck with me really bad. And it just grew and grew and grew. I was like, it is now or never. Because the older he gets,
Yeah, man.
it's just going to be, we're more ingrained wherever we are or whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Go or never.
And I
So-
think you can build resentment against yourself.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like when people discuss resentment, it's always towards an outlier or an exterior force. But, like, you can have resentment against yourself. You
For
can
sure.
be mad at yourself for things you decided to and not do.
Right.
And like you deciding to chase that, not only does it show your kid what he can potentially become or do, it also makes you nicer to yourself, I'm sure, because you actually
100%.
challenged yourself. Whereas like because whatever anger you have within yourself, you then pass on to other people usually. So if you hadn't taken that chance, who knows what type of father you'd have been.
I was already resenting myself at
Were
that
you?
point
Yeah.
for being in the job that I was for 7 years, knowing that it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and there's zero wrong with somebody who does that, who works for
yeah.
Duke for
Yeah.
25 years, retires, has a great retirement, probably even retire early.
There's a very
great
fruitful
pension.
life that can come out of that career.
I saw that whole life in
Yes.
front of me, and it was not a bad life.
Yeah.
It's just not what I wanted.
Just wasn't you.
And I was mad that I waited long enough to realize that.
Yeah.
Like, it took me so long. It took a long conversation with a friend of mine who was already in LA. He's like, you just have to be here. I don't know how to explain that to you
Yeah.
any further, because being in a music city and being in music is a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
Being away from family, it absolutely laser focuses you in on, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have to do.
Yeah.
So it just became really clear. That's what I was resenting, though,
Yeah.
was like, it just took me that long to realize that.
Yeah.
So that's when it really became like, I've got to do this.
Yeah.
Period. So
Yeah. It took me 4 years to get to work for a landscape company when I first graduated until then. 4 years, and I felt that resentment.
yeah.
I felt, because I was working for a cafe and then working for a sandwich shop, and
Yeah. You're making ends meet.
I was doing
Right.
what I had to do to get to that next step,
Yep.
because I kept on applying even after 4 years. And like most people are like, 4 years is a big span between either working or going to college and then finding that job that goes with your degree.
You feel expected to have something at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And finally, Peachtree was one of the ones, and I was like, all right, I know where I'm going now.
Yeah.
So is that what brought you to Nashville?
So my ex-wife, she got a job at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital.
Okay.
So she was an RA at the all-girls dorm, Donovan, which is right next to mine. That's how we met. And then we met my first senior year, because I was a 5-year program.
Okay.
And then we were getting married the year we graduated. She found a job at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, so I moved down there. It was 2008, and the job market basically was just
Went
shit.
down at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a part-time job with a landscape architect. Then he went under. So then for a couple months, I was jobless, still trying to find something, and too stubborn to do unemployment.
Oh, dude, I know
So
the feeling.
But finally started working for a bread and company. I don't think it's been around pre-COVID or post-COVID.
It's been a bit since it was
Yeah.
open.
It used to be a Nashville-based sandwich shop, similar to Panera Bread. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I remember working for $7.65 an hour and just scrubbing toilets, and I'm like,
With a college degree.
I have a freaking 5-year
That's
Bachelor of
wild.
Science
Mhm.
That is
college
wild.
degree, and I'm freaking doing this.
But I also think that's like, I graduated in 2010, and that's what you did though.
yeah,
Because I remember having people who would like apply for jobs at like Barnes and Noble, and they'd be like, "I have my master's in English. Can I work here, please?" No, you're overqualified.
Yep.
No, I literally just want a job.
Yeah.
I literally, I
Yeah.
don't care if it's $10 an hour. I just
Right.
like I can't
well,
eat.
that it wasn't the stubbornness of trying to find a job
Yeah.
for like when I did get laid off because that company went under. It was I applied for like Best Buy and
Oh,
Barnes and
yeah.
Noble and all those,
Just basic retail.
and they all
Yeah.
would say you're overqualified, and I'm like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
just need a
But
job.
I'm
Just
right.
give me.
eager and I'm
Yeah.
hungry and I'll show up early.
That's
Bread and Company
incredibly
was the
frustrating.
first company that said, okay. I mean, they straight up asked me. They were like, hey, if a job ever comes, would you possibly? And I said, I'm not going to lie, I probably would, but I'll be here as much as I can.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that job and for that person that did hire me. But man, it was very humbling.
It
For
is.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Peachtree hired me, and now I'm on that trajectory that I was imagining when I was going to school. So
Awesome.
it's pretty cool.
I mean,
yeah,
I
man.
think normally like resentment is whenever you have an expectation and there's a disconnect from your expectation and your reality. That usually turns into resentment, a wound, or anger of some sort. And in the moment, I don't think you realize that it's actually anger and resentment that you're dealing with.
Right.
Because all you know is that you don't, it's this weirdness of like, all I know is I don't like what I'm doing. And then, but then you're like, but I have to pay for my mortgage. I have to pay, I have to pay my student loans.
Life
So what are
does
you
not
doing?
stop.
It
Yep.
doesn't care.
Right.
So it's really weird to know what to do with that because you have the expectation like, oh man, you're going to be a music producer. Well, you weren't. Why? I don't know. Okay, cool. What do you do now? Working whatever job will hire me? Are you mad about that? I don't know.
Right.
Do you want to take the time to figure it out? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
So it's fun. It's real fun. I would happily not relive my 20s.
Yeah.
I would say I got every inch out of my 20s, to be honest with you. It's the reason I'm happy doing what I do now in music as opposed to like being in the band, touring around the world.
Yeah.
I kind of did the touring stuff, not around the world, but around the U.S. a lot. And
Yeah.
living in the van with 5 other sweaty guys and like did it. I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah. I still love, that's one thing that I finally got to get back into. I didn't really get to do much of in LA is playing live, which I got to finally do more of when I got to Nashville. A buddy of mine, Ryan Alfred, who we're working on his new record right now, actually. Good friend of mine, went to high school with him, a couple years older than me. Got me back into, he's like, you're in Nashville now, you're going to start doing some playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I've kind of been wanting to. So it's been good to get back into that, but I don't miss being on the road, not for a second.
Yeah.
I did that in my 20s or even before then, so.
Allure of it isn't as much. Like playing a show whenever you're 21, oh my God, you're going to stay up until like 5 a.m. because you're so energized by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Playing a show at 38, you're like, oh, my kid's going to wake up in like 5 hours. So
Yeah.
there's not enough coffee.
I don't know if I've reached that thought process yet. I got to be honest.
That's good though. That means you care. That's good.
Yeah, I still love playing shows. I still love hanging. I mean, it's always, I get to hang out with my friends when I'm doing it now. And I always get to pick those shows now, which is
cool.
opposed to like, in your 20s, you're like, okay, you're on tour. You have to be here. You have to do this. You have to do that. It's nice to be able to pick and choose that, especially even what I'm doing now when I get to work with artists and stuff like that. I get to pick and choose that, which is, it's always nice to like kind of making your own schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't always have to feel that way. So when I'm playing that live gig, I know I'm like at my dad's. My dad can take care of him the next day. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like prepared, adult prepared. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. What type of music do you play? I know you compose stuff, but whenever you're actually playing as yourself, like what genre do you normally fall into?
I would say like indie rock, folk stuff.
Okay.
I kind of do a lot of different stuff because I write for other artists and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I'll fall into a pop genre. It kind of just depends on the artist I'm working with.
Is there like lately? What albums have you been listening to? Who's been inspiring you lately?
I would say I try to listen to some new stuff. I'm a huge Harry Styles fan.
Oh, really?
I think he's awesome. His latest record was phenomenal.
So you do like some pop stuff then?
I do like some pop stuff. I grew up a huge Pearl Jam fan.
Yeah.
They were like gods in our hometown of Ludlow.
Yeah. No,
in a
I'm
weird,
from
in a
Southern
weird
Indiana.
way.
I'm very, people are very
Indiana was
obsessed
like
with-
that
yeah.
too.
Mhm.
Yes. So came from that. I'm big into Band of Horses. I've gotten back into them lately.
Yeah.
That's always on my radio on my cruises to and from Northern Kentucky.
Band of Horses, man. That
Where are they from?
Oh, I don't know for sure where they're from. I want to say
I'm thinking of
I want
Cage
to say
the
Northwest.
Elephant. Cage the
Cage
Elephant.
the Elephant's Kentucky.
They're from Kentucky.
I
That's
think
what
they're
I was
from Louisville.
I thought they were from Louisville or Bowling Green.
Or My
one of the
Morning
two.
Jacket.
My Morning Jacket.
My Morning
Definitely.
That might be,
Jacket.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love them. Yeah, they're in that Band of Horses realm.
It's just that since you have like the Northern Kentucky accent, you playing pop music is, I would assume, like Americana country music.
Now, has he told you about the accent thing in Kentucky?
No, I haven't. No, he hasn't.
And maybe you surely noticed this when you went to the University of Kentucky. We might sound like hillbillies. You get an hour south of us.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah.
It is dialect city.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you need translators. I did not, like, when everybody rags on Kentucky if you're being really hillbilly, I was like, I know I have a southern drawl. I get that.
Yeah.
But go an hour south of me.
Yeah, man.
And when I went to UK and there was some good old boys, I was like, I get it.
Northern Kentucky to me felt more of Cincinnati than it did
Correct.
of-
Yeah,
of
definitely.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I viewed it too.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody worked over in Cincinnati. There
Yeah.
were things to do over in Cincinnati, but the majority of people lived in Northern Kentucky.
Right. I could see the Red Stadium from my
Yep.
house that I had in Bellevue at one
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
But then, yeah, like you said, going down to Kentucky and hearing these people from like Fulton, Kentucky,
Or Ashland or something.
or
You're just
Ashland. Like,
yeah.
I dated a girl from Fulton, Kentucky, which is southwest, like
Mhm.
almost the very southwest, more of Paducah.
Yep.
And she would make fun of my accent, say, "Oh, you're such
You're
a
a
northerner.
You're a
You're a Yankee."
Yep.
Yeah, she took me back to her hometown one time, introduced me to her grandparents, and they called me a
Are you
Yankee.
serious?
Oh yes,
You're south of the Ohio, though. You're not a Yankee.
It doesn't matter, man.
does
The
not
the
matter, that's
accent
right.
that I had compared to her, it was just like an automatic. You're a Yankee.
I think Evansville is an odd, like, geographical place because it's
Mm.
actually farther south than probably where you guys grew up.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it's
Oh,
like,
yeah, that might be true.
Like, it's actually
Yeah.
farther south than Louisville
Yeah.
and like all that. So I'm like, I'm a northerner, Midwesterner, but
Yeah,
technically
right.
further south than people in Kentucky.
Yep.
That
Right.
doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I know. It
Yeah.
still weirds me out when you're like in Louisville, but you're like you could be in Indiana.
Yeah,
in
you can be
30
like Floyd's
seconds.
Knob or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty much how it was for Northern Kentucky, like Ludlow, Bromley, Covington. You could
Right.
Yep.
right over to Cincinnati.
Well, I do think, while I'm not from your hometown, the weird draw of leaving your hometown and not trying to be an elitist as you leave your hometown is a very interesting energy to deal with. Because I'm the same of like,
For
I know I
sure.
could live in Evansville, have a really good life, enjoy a lot of things, but it's just not for me.
Mhm.
And I have lots of friends who still live there and they're having very happy lives. I just know if I was there, I can't imagine myself being the best version of myself while I'm there.
It would go back to the resentment for me.
Yeah, I'd be like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But but like it's that weird energy of like, do you want to move back there? I don't think there's anything wrong with that town. I just
Right.
can't say that it'd be the best version of me if I was there.
Same.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is I would fall back into just like, all right, I'm going to go play weekend gigs. I'm going to
Yeah.
just have a 9 to 5 and raise my kid. And that's life.
And that's also not a bad life.
And there's nothing
There's
wrong
nothing
with
wrong
that.
with it.
100%.
But
Can't stress that
some part of
enough.
me would be like, oh, but what about other stuff?
There would be a piece of me missing
Yeah, correct.
because I would
See-
not be able to do what I love as much.
Yep.
For me, I knew after my freshman year of college that I wasn't going to come back.
Really?
Yeah, my freshman year of college, I went back home and I worked for a golf course company, and like life was just totally different. It felt weird. Didn't feel like I was meant to be there. So I never went back.
Interesting.
Like I went back to my parents' house for holidays or stuff like that. But
yeah.
after my sophomore year, I stayed in Lexington, was an RA for summer school.
Yep.
Then the year after that, I went to Seattle in between years. And then I had my internship in Austin, Texas between my fourth and fifth year. And then I came down here
Yeah.
after I graduated. So I was like, I knew I was not going to be going back.
That was not your destination.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
going to Austin and going to Seattle and living there was
So different, right?
it was so different, but it was like, oh man, there's
eye-opening.
so much more out there than
Right.
than what I've known my whole entire
Mhm.
life. So I just knew.
I think the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I did back in Evansville, and it started with a funeral, and then I worked
man.
a factory job, and then it ended with a funeral.
Oh, wow.
So I became an RA after
Yeah.
that because I was like, how do I stay in Nashville over the summer without like in which I have a job and I don't have to pay for housing? You become an RA.
Perfect.
So I did.
Yeah.
That's what led me to become an RA.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty much for me. How do I not have to pay for
Yeah,
for
right.
board and housing? Be an RA.
Makes
Yep.
total sense. I never even occurred to me. I was too.
You were only there for 1 year. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was after our freshman year that we both were like, oh, how do I not go back to my hometown and not pay for room and board?
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get back because that's when I really started becoming kind of professional in music.
Mhm.
When I was actually starting, our band was getting really good. We started playing bigger shows and stuff like that. Had a girlfriend who I thought I was going to marry, or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't know until later for me. I wish
Really?
I'd have known that early.
Yeah.
That like I wasn't going to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably I wouldn't say it's even a regret, but like God, if there's few things I could go back and change, that would be one of the few things. Like
Is-
knowing earlier,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get out of there earlier.
Yeah, well, a weird story of mine is I kind of had like a personal pact with myself. I didn't really tell anybody about it. I was like, because we were in the bands I was in, we were always trying to make it, even though we didn't even know what that really meant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted to sign with the label and tour.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whatever that even meant.
and whatever that even meant. Right. It took quitting all the bands I was in for 20 years, or at that point, I guess it was only 11, but I've been in 2 bands for a long time. I told myself if you're not signed and doing what you think you ought to be doing by the age of 30, you probably need to find something else to do. You probably need to settle into what you're doing or go all in on what you're doing or something like that. And I signed my first record deal at 29.
Wow.
And it was all my own record. Like I wrote everything, recorded everything. Yeah. Buddy of mine sang it. Got signed to a label. That's when I started working with people in LA because I got signed to a label that was out there, and that was like, there was a small like, thank God. Yeah. But it also was the validation, like I really can do this.
Yeah,
of course.
And that was all I needed at that point, and I'd been all in ever since, pretty much. But I wish it had been earlier.
Yeah.
Wish I'd have thought that, like, dude, you can do this on your own. Yeah. You know what I mean? I always thought you had to bring people along.
If that would have been, what, like the mid 2000s, whenever you were doing all that, record labels were still a thing back then.
Right.
Like nowadays, it's like, all right, how do you promote yourself? How can you get in with other bands who also promote you? Like,
you're everybody.
The music
now.
business game is extremely different than what you were hoping for back then.
For sure.
How do you have Spotify wasn't a thing until like 2011 or 2012. Legally downloading music was still a thing whenever you were trying to make it big.
For sure. Yeah, we're still trying to hustle CDs. You're still trying to sell units.
Because how do you make money now if you're a musician? You do it off of touring and merchandise, don't you?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Whereas back then you actually factored in like physical merchandise sale of like your CDs and vinyl and stuff like that as a profit center.
That was an actual product at that point.
Correct. You as a musician now trying to make it, your game plan is so drastically different than what it was whenever you're in your 20s.
Music now, in my opinion, is a marketing tool.
It is.
More than anything.
It's more about branding.
You are putting out music to almost, like you said, personal branding to somebody follow your story.
Correct.
And I'm terrible at this right now still. I'm trying to get better at it, like building more content and stuff like that. But like that is what we have moved to. And in a weird way, and I said this to a couple people, even before all this happened, I was like, the music industry is moving back to where we were in the 50s.
Oh, yeah?
And people you put out singles.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's the point in putting out an album now? It's almost like wasting 10 songs because people are going to consume that and kill it over a week.
Yeah.
Instead of they can just kill your single for over a week and consume the heck out of that, and then you put the next one out a month later, and they're going to do that too. And they're still going to listen to the other one.
It's crazy because how music business, like how it originally started was singles existed because you couldn't physically fit more than one song on a record.
Right.
That's why singles first existed. And then they realized the disc and everything got bigger so you could actually make full albums.
Right.
And now, it's really odd that it went from like, oh, cool, I can do one song. This is great. Oh, now I can do 5 songs. This is great. Now I can do 10 songs. This is great. Now I can do a double disc. This is great. What do I want now? Just one.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But we just expanded and now we just want one.
Right.
Just one song. And then I'll never listen to anything else you put out.
Does this fit on my playlist?
You
know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
does this work for my workout?
Does this work with my vibe?
Yeah.
Does
exactly.
it? Awesome. I'm here for it. What about now? It doesn't. What are you doing? This person's dead to me.
Because there's 175 other people, or 175,000 other people uploading a song that same day.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like something crazy like that. Yep. Who will fit them perfect.
Talking to Carl from Black Abbey, he was saying that's really exhausting with craft beer, is they have their like flagship stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also the expectation to be new and exciting every other week.
Oh my gosh.
So it has to be exhausting.
Yeah.
And there are even some breweries in town where it's like, okay, cool, here's our 30 craft beers we have. Oh, I haven't had one of your beers. Why do you have so many options? Like, can I just try like a pale ale or something?
Well, would that correlate with like people's attention span?
I think so.
It fits in there somewhere for sure.
Yeah. Same with like looking at a video. Instead of videos being like YouTube videos being like 10 minutes to 30 minutes, now they're like 2 minutes.
Yeah. 15 seconds.
Or 15
seconds.
I
mean, you get on TikTok, people are just swipe.
Jeez. I mean, even
crazy.
Some like news articles at the top, it'll say like how long it takes to read it.
The headline's the news.
Yes.
Like you're reading the headline more than you're reading the article.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm guilty of that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know? And that fits in with just people's attention span. That's why songs have gotten shorter. That's why you can't have an intro to a song anymore and stuff like that. Yeah. Like it's changed how we even write. So
I never even thought of that.
yeah, it has to change because
You gotta pick that attention span up real fast.
if you talk to any A&Rs and stuff like that, you got songs that are over 3 minutes now, and they're like, so can we cut this a little bit? Or, how do we make this shorter?
Which is also more back to the 50s, in which songs are more like a lot of Beatles songs. They're like 2 to 3 minutes.
Exactly.
That's it.
Which just goes back to the Beatles were the best band
That's
ever.
Let's talk about recording to
die on
an
that
8-track,
hill.
Justin. Can we start talking about recording to 8 tracks?
Sure.
Let's talk about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band for the rest of this episode.
All right. That is one of my dreams, by the way.
You guys could have an own podcast
Basically,
just about
just
music.
being nerds.
That's
We'll
fine.
be back. I can nerd out on all that stuff.
Well, do it. We got the space.
We got the space. We're good.
And Devin, that could be your official full-time job, is just being a podcaster.
Just talking about podcasting and being a father and staying at home with kids.
I hope it leads to that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You never know.
What is it you do now?
I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, amazing.
So, yeah, it's very lucky. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Wait a minute. You're already living a dream.
Yeah,
you don't get
basically.
to. You don't get to.
So.
Yep, that's what I've told my wife. I was like, man, if you ever get a job where you're making a lot of money, I'll be the stay-at-home
I'll stay
dad.
home.
I would love that.
I'll volunteer for that. I'll sit home and make music, and my kid's going to be in my band, whether he likes it or not. That's actually a small dream of mine. My dad has recently picked up guitar.
Oh,
really?
cool.
And trying to learn. And he's gotten better. He's got some work to do.
Yeah.
But if I can get him to a certain level and my son to a certain level, and then we can all play a gig together, I swear that'd be the best thing in my life ever.
Do you listen to Wilco at all?
I like Wilco.
Okay, Jeff Tweedy has 2 kids, and he has a band with
Does
them.
he?
Yeah.
I didn't know he had gotten that far with
Yeah,
them.
I think so. I
That's
think one
awesome.
of them plays drums. I can't think what the other one plays, but
Who is Jeff Tweedy?
he's the lead singer, Wilco.
Oh, okay.
It's all right.
Again, I don't know.
Your son, Volt
Tweety
knowledge
Bird-
is
it's
also
Tweety
clearly
Bird's
bad. Your
I have a very
Central
select
Illinois
few.
bands that then moved to Chicago knowledge apparently isn't that as
No,
good
it is
as
not.
I anticipated for it to be.
Mark Broussard, the Wild Feathers.
But
Yeah,
either
those are the
way,
bands that I know.
Jeff Tweedy, I'm pretty sure he does gigs with his kids. I can't remember
That would be
what he
amazing.
names them, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have 3 kids. If one of them,
You got a band.
yeah, basically, yeah, it's not a good sounding band. But
Somebody's got to
is
take
it
drums,
technically
right?
music? Yes, it is.
If you've heard what's on Spotify, it's probably better than some of that
it
this
might
day.
be.
It is, man. It is so much. Like, I remember back in the day, we had a select few bands that we knew that were the biggest thing of those years.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many revolving doors of new people that I've never heard of in my life, and then they're gone like the next year.
Yeah.
Well, what's the craziest thing about that to me is it's almost we're experiencing a time where we're not going to get many more superstars anymore, like the superstar bands or stuff like that, people who can sell out stadiums.
Yeah.
Like, name newer bands who can sell out a stadium right now. Name a
I
band who
mean-
started within 5 years ago that can do that.
No, because Harry Styles was more than 5 years ago.
Right. And he started in One
He
Direction.
did, yeah, which is different.
But I mean, like, you hear, like, who can sell out the stadium? Like Coldplay, Foo
yeah,
Fighters.
Ed Sheeran, bands like that.
right.
But they've been around for like
The
10,
Black
20 years.
Keys
That's what I'm
did
saying.
back
Yeah.
10 years ago, 15
Right.
years ago, or whatever.
But I don't think you're going to see, like, new and up because there's so many flash in the pan artists. They might sell one stadium tour.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's going to be many more Taylor Swifts. I mean, there's always going to be, people
There's
rise
gonna
to
be
the top.
someone, yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, much smaller, like, back in the day when, like, bands got real big, like, got Led Zeppelin, U2, like, all these bands that do stadium tours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're not seeing a lot of it anymore, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
It's much.
No. And if anything, I think a lot of newer venues that get opened in town
Are
are
smaller.
like 2,000 to 4,000 people.
Right.
If
They
even that.
accommodate that,
They are.
right.
Because they can sell those out more and have more booked and have better revenue than if they're going for
Makes more
20
sense.
to 30,000 people in one
So-
seating. Yeah.
Do
Exactly.
you guys think this is going to be cyclical? That it's going to go back from the 50s, 60s, 70s?
We're in a weird place for music because a big conversation right now is AI.
Ah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go right now because we're in a weird realm where, I mean, have you heard, like, because they can copy somebody's voice so well.
Yeah. You can do AI.
There was
voice,
somebody
yeah.
put out a fake Kendrick Lamar song, and you don't know it's not him.
Whoa.
It sounds just like him. who's like somebody puts that out, and now obviously he has some sort of rights that I'm sure, but there's no
Yes.
law on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also fresh and so new. Yeah.
They're like scrambling. It's just like when streaming started, they are scrambling for like
To say you can't do that.
right. Somebody's got to get paid, but if it was completely computer generated,
Who gets
like,
paid?
right? Like
Yeah.
so we're in a whole new weird place with music. I'm afraid to be replaced at this point, especially when they can do convincing voices. Like you don't even have to have a good voice now. Like
Yeah.
somebody you can
Yeah.
just like, hey, Chat GPT, write me a song that sounds like you two that has Ed Sheeran's
Yep.
voice, and it can do that.
I actually did that the other
That's
day. I was
so
texting
weird.
with someone, and he said his house, he lives near like Prissy Priest, and he was like, during the summer, it smells like coconut rum and sunscreen. And I was like, that sounds like the next country hit. So I put it into Chat GPT, and Chat GPT wrote me a song called Coconut
No
Rum
way.
and Sunscreen. And it gave me literal verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Did you save it?
Yeah.
The scary part
Okay,
is
I'm gonna make
see.
millions.
I need to see that.
the scary part about that stuff is, and I've done that once too, and
Yeah.
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
Oh,
It's
man.
not bad at
It's
it,
not
and
bad.
the only thing it's doing right now is learning. So it's
Yeah.
gonna get better.
Oh, jeez.
Like that's what I'm saying. So it's
Dude, we're
in a
going
weird
into
place.
some Terminator type.
right.
Just glance at that.
It's wild.
This was asked to write me a song, and that's the lyrics it came up with.
Well, we're gonna have to write this song now.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Here's your. I get 25%,
Okay, I can agree to that.
but it's
Whoa, this is actually not that bad.
Hey, see my point? So we're in a weird,
Dude,
weird
this
place.
is like it
I-
makes sense.
Are there
It's
gonna
not,
be AI stars?
I don't know.
I
Do you
have
know what I
no
mean?
idea.
'Cause
Dude,
I-
that's going to be
I
insane.
literally was just like,
I mean,
all right.
for a computer to generate that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at this like,
I was like, Chat GPT,
wow.
write me a country song about Malibu rum and sunscreen, and it was like, yeah, I got
Oh,
you.
man.
I'm gonna have to put that out next month.
So is that
That's
free
wild.
now? The
Yeah.
Chat GPT?
Yeah, I just signed in. I think it gave it some of my data so it could track me more. I think
Everything else does.
Yeah, I think how music will go is authenticity is what I feel like most people look for in
For
music
sure.
and concert experience. So how you experience the concert and how much of an experience the artist can make it and how much they can make you feel connected to them is what will drive people to venues to go see them play at concerts.
Branding.
Or
Pretty much so, yes.
they'll use
Right.
ChatGPT and have holograms. Of
They
people.
could though. They legitimately could.
They
though.
already got holograms.
I
right.
I
That
remember
already
going to my
exists.
very first Brad Paisley concert in 2008 or 9, and they did a hologram of
Tupac.
no, it was the Whiskey
go to that.
Lullaby. The Whiskey Lullaby. She, it was a lady country music star. I cannot remember her name, but they had a hologram of her, and it in 2008 2009.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that is
And
like,
that's 15 years
Yeah.
ago. Right.
Yeah.
So
So, it's only gotten better.
you know it's got to be even
It's
more realistic.
insane now, right?
But I think it's got to be exhausting because I always check myself with this. I'm like, oh, I like music that I think is authentic. Well,
Same.
that's a target that moves every hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I view as authentic right now is going to be different than what I view as authentic in an hour from now.
Right.
So I'm looking at you being like, Matt, you're a musician. Write something that feels authentic. And you're like, I can be authentic to myself. I didn't connect with it this time.
Right.
Cool. What am I supposed to do with that?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a floating target for sure.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Scary
Yeah,
times.
we're in a weird
Scary times.
we're in a weird place in music. I'm glad that I'm already in it enough to where like I'm not starting.
Yeah. You've
Yeah.
got some
I
solid
would
ground.
feel like oh my gosh, I'm competing with not only a million other people now who can put out anything from their bedroom that sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now there's computers doing it too.
Yep.
Like that's only going to extrapolate the competition at this point.
I think we are now starting to approach the age with kids, in which I'm like, I have no idea what life is going to be like for my kids in 10 years from
Yeah.
now.
Oh my
Like whenever
goodness.
my kids
I
start to
think
learn to
about that
drive,
too.
like, because our parents had this moment also,
Sure.
but I feel like we're finally entering into the moment of like, oh, whenever in like 10 years from now, whenever I'm teaching my oldest daughter how to drive, what type of car am I teaching her to drive in?
Yeah,
What
will
do the
she-
roads look like?
will she
there
need-
even be
Who's
an
teaching who?
Yeah, like, is there going to be an open parking lot I can even drive around in and try it? Like,
right.
Yeah.
how does this actually? But I think it's like the first time it's starting to click in my head. Like, all right, in 10 years from now, whenever you're actually teaching your kid how to be an adult, you won't know what this world looks like.
Yeah. We're going to be those
True.
old people that are lost.
Well, you guys already are. I'm not.
Oh, hey, now you're only like what, 2 years,
3 years.
2 or
younger.
3?
I'm a jerk. That's what it's called.
Yes,
That's
you are.
Yeah,
scientific definition.
It's definitely scientific. It's proven.
But I do
That's
feel
funny,
like
man.
we're now starting to enter the age where it is like, all right, how do I teach my kid how to do this? I actually don't even know what this is.
Yep.
So how do I do with this?
I'm already lost as it is. So just
How
wait.
is that your all's parenting style? Like, because I don't know how you guys were like when you first had your first kid, but like, I mean, I thought about reading books and doing all this other stuff, and I swear I got to the point I was like, I was raised. I remember how I was raised. I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah.
So do you go like kind of how you were raised, or do you like do a combination of like I learned this and I'm gonna do this? Because I will tell you, I am 100% gut instinct on just about anything I tell my kid or teach my kid.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you if that's good or
shoot
bad.
from the
I'm
hip.
just telling you what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shoot from the hip every once in a while, but I have a general idea of what I want to be as a father
Okay.
to them, but I don't have like a set of rules or anything like that. I don't know.
I think if I feel like I'm hitting my head against a wall, then I go and read books.
Okay.
But for the most part, I think parenting anymore is kind of more of a marketing thing, if I'm honest, than it is an actual thing. Of like on Instagram, how do you parent? Well, here's 20 videos to show you how you can parent correctly.
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
No, it's not. We are not a parenting advice
We're not on
podcast.
Instagram.
Okay.
We're not a parenting advice
We are not. That's
podcast.
true.
We're a parenting relatability podcast.
Please don't sue us.
Please don't say this. But you know what I mean, though? Like, I think there's so many voices out there now that tell you how you should parent that until I feel like I've actually hit a wall a couple times, then I don't actually, then I more look for help from my wife than I
You
do
have
from
some trusted voices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, I don't feel like I start with like, you have to read this book to know how this works.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you had your first kid, though, because it's like we have no idea what we're doing.
No.
Like, you know
Not
what I
at
mean? Like
all.
we all have that experience.
Yep.
Even if you read 100 books,
No, yeah.
it does not happen like that.
Book smart versus street smart. Very different.
Right. Exactly. Dude, I will forever remember we couldn't figure out my kid's car seat when we were trying to get him home from the hospital.
Oh yeah, I did that.
Like, and my wife's crying, holding my kid. I'm like, we are going to be the worst parents ever.
I remember.
But you figure it out. You know,
I had looked up everything on the car seat except for how to detach it from the base.
I didn't even get like we couldn't get it pulled out from like the cushion or something like that. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
That's why I went down to get the car seat, and I just I had the base in. I had it clicked into the base. I had everything connected perfectly. It was tight. It was level.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, "Can you grab the car seat?" And I was like,
About that.
How do I detach this? What do you mean?
doesn't come out.
I'm currently sleep deprived because our first daughter's birth was 26 hours, and she was born at like 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
And so, like, especially 2 or 3 days later, I'm just
Right.
like, oh my God, I get to leave. I have no idea how much sleep I've gotten. How do you get the car seat out? I'm going to look
Yeah.
up a YouTube video and
Yep.
hope that my internet
Thank God for
connection
YouTube.
is good enough in this
Yes.
basement of this parking garage that I can actually watch this. Because that's the
Right.
reality of parenting.
Correct. Yep. If you don't know how to do it, I mean, it's the same with doing, taking care of a house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I can't fix that. All right, let me YouTube something. Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
basically. Yeah. How we end our episodes is that we ask like 5 icebreaker questions.
Okay.
Just basic like dad questions, basically. And Justin will ask the first one while I pull it up on my computer so I look like I know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Okay.
I'm
All
down.
right. So, normally a lot of couples end up having like backup names. What were your guys' backup names for your son? Or did you have any?
We did not have a backup name,
Oh, wow.
but we had a girl name,
Okay.
Yeah.
which was Olivia,
Okay.
Scarlett Olivia.
Oh.
I like it.
Would have been our girl name.
Yeah.
We also have decided we're sticking with one.
Have you?
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
which probably because he's a wild man. But yeah, we didn't have a backup. Huxley was it for me, and I actually had found that name. But when I was in high school, I was like, "That's gonna be my kid's name." It's actually the last name of my favorite author, Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any correlation with that.
Yeah, so that's where it came
Cool.
from. Yeah.
Awesome. Great answer.
Next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Favorite TV dad?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. One of my favorite TV dads, who's no longer around, was. Anybody ever watch the show Everybody Loves Raymond?
Yes.
Oh,
His
yeah.
dad was
Oh,
awesome.
Yes.
He always had the best one-liners for
Was
his
that Jerry
wife.
Stiller?
No,
It was a different one.
but he's my second favorite.
Okay, cool.
He's
Is he
definitely my
in
second
King of
favorite.
Queens. Who is he the dad in?
Yes,
in
King
King
of Queens
Queens and
and
Seinfeld,
And
which is
Seinfeld,
my
of course,
all-time
yes.
favorite show.
Yep.
Yeah, but Frank from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
He was the original Frankenstein.
That's what I was going to
Wait,
say.
what?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, he
Sorry,
was. No, that's exactly
stole your
right.
thunder.
I didn't watch Everybody
Young
Loves Raymond.
Frankenstein, like
Amazing.
amazing.
Okay,
He's
cool.
putting on the Ritz. Yeah, he's him.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
See, your guys' music knowledge, I'm usually on movies.
We've got to pick up some slack for each other in some areas. So that's usually where it comes from.
That's cool.
All right. So, do you have a least favorite kids show or movie? Usually it's one that your kid just absolutely loved and listened to it or watched it constantly.
100% with all my heart. I dislike Blippi.
Blippi.
Or whatever his name is, the guy with the orange hat.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're the second dad who said Blippi.
I don't say the
He's
word
a
hate
weird-
very easily, but that guy's gonna pop up on a registry at some point. He's popping up on a
There's
registry
something where
near
you're like,
you, coming to you.
This guy's hiding something. All right. Do you have a favorite kid's toy? Like whenever your son goes to play with it, you actually enjoy also playing with it? You're not just sitting there like, oh, why are we playing with this again?
A favorite kid's what? Toy?
Kid's toy. Like when your son plays with it, you actually think it's fun to play with it too.
I would say because my kid's so into sports now that I just love playing ball with him.
That's
like
cool.
any ball. Like
That's fun.
we play football, we play basketball. I love that he's like a kid. He gets on his iPad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take anything for me to say, hey, let's go play some ball, and he puts it down. No questions asked. Let's go do that.
That's sweet.
That's great.
I know it's a simple answer, but
No.
from my childhood, that makes my heart happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You
awesome.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm hoping that for
Yeah.
Ada. Last question. What moment of your kid's life are you most excited to be a part of?
Whatever he's excited about. So whenever he feels like he has decided, and I'm sure this hasn't happened yet, but it happens all the time. Whenever he gets real excited about something and he accomplishes it, like he's in Taekwondo and he had a competition, his very first competition about a month ago, and he didn't place, and that hurt him a lot.
Yeah.
But it also taught him a lot.
Yep.
And that's why he's in it. And that's why we love him being a part of it, because it's not you get a ribbon for everything. I'm not that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not. I'll never be that parent. So seeing him love something and earn the accolades for doing it and doing it well and trying really hard at it, those are the moments I love, and
Cool.
I cannot wait to see for him. Like being a part of that, him accomplishing those things, because they build so much in you. Like that stuff, even in being in music, my basketball stuff still translates to me to this day from like earning stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So him earning something and accomplishing it, whatever that is, those are my favorite moments.
I think how your kid reacts in those moments gives you like it's a doorway into their character to some extent.
Exactly.
So you have to be focused. You got to be there for it because they're like, oh man, how did you react whenever you didn't win? Cool, let's talk about it. Let's see who you are in this.
I'm huge about, I know I want to be there in those moments.
Yeah.
I'm super busy. I work probably 7 days a week.
Okay.
But like I make time. As a dad, have to make time for that stuff.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. So, yeah.
Sweet. Matt, if people want to like follow you on Instagram or like know more about you, how do we find out more about you?
I'm really easy. On all my socials, I am at Wheatley Music
Sweet.
on any
So
social.
well.
Yep.
Sweet.
Pretty
Well,
easy.
Thank you. You have a really busy life. Thanks for spending your Sunday afternoon with us.
Thanks for having
And
me.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Love
Thank
having
you.
you on, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.